Have you ever wondered why some men just seem to shut down when they're going through something tough? Well, today we're going to dive into a really interesting psychological dynamic that might just explain it. We're going to explore a communication pattern that, honestly, a lot of us have probably been a part of, but maybe never fully understood.
Okay, so to really get this, our source materials suggest we try on a new hat. For the next few minutes, you're not a participant in the drama, and you're not a judge. You are the architect.
And as the architect, your only job is to observe. Seriously, that's it. We're not here to point fingers or decide who's right or wrong. We're just here to see the system itself, to understand the pattern as it plays out.
So what does that actually mean? To look at the world through the eyes of an architect? Let's get into it.
This is what our source calls a systemic view. It means we're not zooming in on one person's actions, but we're looking at the dance between them. It's not about finding fault. It's about understanding the machine and seeing how all the gears turn together.
Aha, right. So now that we've got our architect's lens on, let's turn to the main event here, what the source calls the male dilemma.
At its very core, this dilemma is a clash between two really powerful forces. On one hand, you have a man's desire to open up and be vulnerable. And on the other, you have this deep-seated need to be a source of security for his partner. The source suggests that sometimes it feels like you just can't have both.
So that's the big question, right? Why would a man choose to be silent instead of just sharing what's on his mind? Well, according to our source, the answer isn't what you might think. It's actually a predictable, almost mechanical chain reaction.
And it all starts with one simple act, just an attempt to connect. But that single act of vulnerability, well, that's the spark that ignites the entire chain reaction we're about to see.
Okay, notice how subtle this is. Step 1, a man shares that he's struggling. Step 2, his partner, coming from a place of care, her instinct immediately pivots from just listening to trying to find a solution. This is such a crucial moment, that little switch from listening to problem solving.
Now, that shift from listening to fixing, it doesn't just change the conversation. It sends out a ripple, this unintended consequence that changes the entire emotional landscape of the relationship. And here's the crux of the whole thing. His attempt to connect, his admission that he's struggling, isn't always received the way he intended. What he sees as him building a bridge, she might see as a crack in the foundation. His vulnerability, instead of bringing them closer, can actually destabilize her sense of security, and suddenly she feels unsafe. Our source calls this a tangible shift. You can feel it. Her whole demeanor changes, her energy, her reactions. It's not usually a conscious choice, but more of an instinctual response to feeling that her foundation is shaking a little bit. So this ripple of insecurity, it leads us right to the final piece of the puzzle. The reason why a man might choose to stay silent the next time he's struggling. Try to put yourself in his shoes for just a second. He reached out for help with this problem, but in doing so, he's accidentally created a brand new one. Now he has to manage his partner's insecurity on top of his own stuff.
I mean, think about it. He started with one burden, whatever was worrying him, but by sharing it, he's now carrying a second one, the weight of her emotional stability. So instead of lightening his load, he's accidentally made it heavier.
An experience like that, it creates this really powerful internal story. He starts to believe that showing any weakness is a threat to the relationship itself. The takeaway for him becomes, I have to carry my burdens alone, because maybe my partner can't handle the weight. And just like that, the cycle completes itself. The very act of trying to break the silence leads directly to a situation that makes silence seem like the only viable option next time. It's a perfect and honestly, a pretty tragic feedback loop.
Which brings us right back to our role as the architect. Now that we can see the whole pattern laid out, this cycle of vulnerability, insecurity, and silence, does it change how we view these kinds of interactions? You know, maybe simply understanding the system is the very first step towards building a better one.